What advice would you give to somebody thinking about getting an InBody?
My advice is to get it. And then to elaborate on that, it's just a door opener. And it's a door opener to things that patients want, that patients care about. People want real information and real things that they can do about it. And the InBody opens up, again, so many conversations that can go all sorts of ways, depending on what their concerns are. It could be around gut health. It could be around thyroid health. It could be around hormones. Weight loss is a no-brainer there. Um, but it opens up opportunities for you to continue to engage and kind of go on a journey with these people. And that's what people are looking for. They're looking for somebody they can trust that will listen to them and work with them. And this is just the gate opener, in my opinion.
Welcome to Beyond the Scale, where we delve into the transformative stories of business owners who have harnessed the power of body composition to elevate not only their own enterprises, but also the lives of their customers and patients. I'm your host, Bradley from InBody, and we're going to go beyond the numbers and explore the profound impact that body composition can have today on independent pharmacies. From deep insights into how to identify muscle, fat, water imbalances, and unique ways body composition can help you enhance your patient outcome, sell more memberships, increase retention. And if you have an InBody or you're thinking about getting one, this will be a conversation you won't want to miss. So without further ado, let's dive in to the intersection of body composition and healthcare right here on Beyond the Scale. Today, my guest is Dr. Easton Bryant. Dr. Bryant has adopted body composition technology into his independent pharmacy in Kentucky, where he offers customized patient-first solutions. In addition to his pharmacy, through his coaching and consulting firm, the RX Grid, he's passionate about helping independent pharmacies embrace their unique opportunities to be the best they can be. With creative know-how from his expertise and eye on the trends in the industry, he offers actionable insights that can help change the entire trajectory of your business. Welcome to Beyond the Scale, Dr. Bryant. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
How do you describe your philosophy for care toward your patients and the mission that you're on in your pharmacy?
Man, the mission I'm on is to deliver real information to people. I think now more than ever, people don't know who to trust. They don't know who to listen to. And it's something I take very seriously. Given, patients and viewers or whoever they may be, giving them a voice that they can trust. There's just a lot of misinformation out there. So that's the biggest thing, making people feel or know that they're heard and giving them great information and that they can put into their lives as well. That's really it. Toward the end of 2023, I made my mind up that the word for 2024 for my pharmacy was going to be measure. We've been very fortunate. We do lots of e-com business and we sell lots of products to lots of people across the country and whatnot. But it's important to me now kind of, what's next on top of that, selling something that we believe in is great from a supplement standpoint, but how do we help them understand how it's working and outcomes, is what it's really about. So not only with InBody, but also other, nutrient deficiencies. And we're starting to get into a way to deliver hormone testing to consumers that are outside of our geographical reach. So needless to say, InBody fits, directly into the word measure. And, we invested in the technology whenever it was, sometime toward the end of 2023. And using it myself, as I tell everybody that steps on the machine, the first time is the baseline, and then it's a challenge. I'm pretty hard-headed. I'm pretty driven, pretty competitive. So, you get on the first time and it's like, okay, when I hop on it the next time, it better be better. And that's what it's worked out for me really nicely. And I mean, more than ever, I'm telling people that the scale is just a number. Sure, a scale is also a way to measure, but it's not really telling you that much at all.
Can you walk me through how you typically introduce the concept of body composition to people and your patients and what the culture is like around that? How do people receive it?
We just point it out to them and say, hey, you want to hop on this thing? That's really what it comes down to. And almost everybody says, yeah, because they're interested, because, you don't know what you don't know. And you can make assumptions. And as you know, I'm sure with all the experience you have with InBody, people are usually a little surprised when they get on it. Even from the stadiometer standpoint, people are usually not even as tall as they think they are, as well. So
Yeah.
we have fun with it. It's not a real big. There's not a real static process that we have to introduce the technology. We have it where it's our store is not really big, so it's kind of easy to see for anybody that comes in, and it's something that we can just easily start a conversation with. I have the vast majority of my staff. They're certified to use the InBody. They've gone through the training for that. So it's just really easy to get conversations going. I mean, obviously the whole process of standing on the machine takes very little time. So it's not a big time crunch. And then, as time allows, and if the patient has some time, we'll take some time to go through the results with them as well.
You mentioned the training for the InBody. We have an InBody Academy where you can get certified as an InBody specialist, and that's a 30-40 minute course that takes you through everything you need to know to be able to use the InBody. So I'm glad you're using that for your team. And then in the future too, you could continue to use that if you ever hire anybody new and you onboard somebody. That's a great resource for people to be able to use. Take me through a typical consultation once you do have the results and you're sitting down with somebody. What does that sound like for you?
At this stage, we have lots of people getting on it for the first time. And the important thing we always tell them is like, this is your baseline. This is a starting point. And, we're able to very easily let them know that, whatever number you're seeing, like, you're not alone. These numbers are, most everybody gets on. These are numbers we see pretty commonly. So don't feel like you're out on an island. You're the only one that's struggling with body composition and weight even. It's very much a side effect of the society we live in. You have to be really diligent, have really good information, be very intentional about what your choices are in order to really have your body composition honed in. The stat that I keep hearing, I've heard for months now, is that 93% of Americans are metabolically unhealthy. So that means just 7%. So 7 out of 100 people are metabolically healthy. And just this week, I heard somebody say that number is now fading out, and the new number is 2%. So 2 out of 100 Americans are metabolically healthy. So, when somebody gets on the InBody and they're a little disappointed on first time getting on, I mean, hey, you're with 98% of people, 93 to 98% of people. The good thing is, we're a pharmacy that we do a heck of a lot more than just put, pills from a big bottle in a small bottle and say, see you later. We want to be very involved with your health. We have solutions, we have answers, and we can work with you in a customized way if you like. So it's a starting point, more or less.
So after somebody's done this test and you've got baseline measurements for them, what kind of options do you have for people for programs, services, products? How do you introduce that to them, and what's that journey like for the customer?
Well, number one, we're not pushy. It's just not something that I've ever been comfortable with, trying to sell somebody something just for the sake of selling it. And, something I'm very, very passionate about, I find myself talking about every day, whether it's in wellness or in business, is a long game. That's what it's about. And, I have to mention the GLP-1 analog climate that we're in right now, where it's such a hot thing. And it's helping a lot of pharmacies. I totally understand that. A lot of pharmacies are able to, source compounded injections, make a decent margin where it's hard to make margins anywhere else. But just giving them something like that alone is not something I can subscribe to myself, to just give it to them and say, see you later. So I don't want to make my answer all about GLP-1s. Those can fit into the picture. And I believe that they have their place for the right patient, for the right duration of time. So we can help them access a tool that way, a non-invasive approach with that. But that's a tiny piece of the puzzle. A huge piece is the InBody, obviously, as we've already established. On top of that, supplement support. So many people need to do a detox first. I just did an endocrinology training a couple weekends ago, like 24 hours of coursework, and we did case studies and patient examples, and like almost every time, like they need to start with the detox. You're looking at thyroid health, metabolic health, gut health. Detoxing patients is really one thing that we lean into really heavily, and then also ongoing supplements from there. On top of that, I have the book right in front of me. I spent lots of time putting this journal together. This is a 30-day wellness journal. It's about 40 pages. I put it together start to finish, and it's just tracking. It's not get in here and count your calories and telling you exactly what to do, but just at the end of the 30 days, I have a place where you can say, here are the workouts that I could do sustainably. Here are the meals that I can eat sustainably that work for me, that can help me play the long game. And then, honestly, on top of that, we do tons of hand holding too. And that's where, I guess that's where the most custom piece comes into. We spend lots of time with patients. And, we do have a weight loss program we have going now where we're using the InBody very much so in that program. And we have patients that come in that they never leave without crying, because it's such a mental game to transform your life in this way, physically as well, and to get things set to where you're really going to start playing the long game, possibly for the first time in your life. And when I say cry, they're crying in a good way, but I love to see my staff spending their time that way. To be honest, we're not charging what we should be for that type of hand holding. But that's what we're here for. We're not here to play the short game to see how much money we can make on something in the next 90 days. I don't think that's how the most successful people think, and that's not how I want to think.
You're there getting these measurements, and then as you hold people's hands, you're providing accountability, you're helping them make a commitment to themselves, providing knowledge, resources for them to actually make change. And like you said, that's definitely a longer term play. And I feel like you're part of a culture in pharmacy today that's rebranding the position of the pharmacist in the community to be able to be seen as an asset to their overall health and part of their care team, rather than just somebody they go to get medications.
Yeah, make no doubt about it. We're practicing, and you can say you're practicing pharmacy, but we're being practitioners in the role that we're playing with these people. There's no doubt about it. And another thing, that we'd be able to do is, which we need to buy more of these, but we have the 1 pound fat bottle. I'm sure you've seen those, the yellow fat. And we don't show it to them on the first visit, but when they come back and they've lost 7 pounds and they're disappointed they didn't lose more, but we're thrilled because they're right on track, we'll pull that out and say, hey, look at this. You lost 7 of these. And so we're getting ready to invest in the 5 pound model. I think there's one out there anyway, like that. And then the next step, like I said, we have these people that come in that get emotional as we're kind of like walking them through this process as they check in with us. We're looking forward to, giving people gifts when they hit milestones. We have a particular lady that we're planning this for. When she hits 25 pounds of weight loss, and by the way, she's maintaining a great amount of muscle. We haven't talked about that yet, but the muscle, maintaining that lean muscle mass is so important. She's going slow, but very steady and making steady progress. When she hits 25 pounds, we're gonna get her a gift. We found out some things about her from some friends, and we're gonna give her a custom gift. It's not gonna be branded from the pharmacy. It's gonna be something that's just nothing but a gift to her, just to kind of just as a surprise and a congratulations. So that's the kind of fun we're having with it. It's not how many people can we give something out the drive-through window to that, truth be told, they might be losing 50 pounds and actually be less healthy on the other side of that 50 pounds.
And what a great way to continue to brand your business within the community than to develop these raving fans who are willing to, share your message when they receive gifts or when they get the results that they want. I don't think there's any better way to market a business than things like that.
because we're proud of her. We see the emotional toll that it takes to do it the right way, especially when they have family members and friends and coworkers that are maybe not doing. I don't want to call it the wrong way, but when you're losing tons of muscle really quickly, and you're ultimately hurting your metabolism in the long run, there's a better way. The crazy thing about the state of our industry is that pharmacies are trying to stay in business, and at the same time, they're having to push away business in order to stay in business. As we talk about PBMs and reimbursement models, you have to be careful about who wants to be a patient at your pharmacy. It used to be like, celebration. We're getting new patients, and now it's like, okay, who are they? What are they taking? What's their insurance? It's incredibly sad that that's the state of the industry, but it's the truth. And relationships are everything. Playing the long game and looking at the big picture. We don't turn patients away. We carry meds that we do lose money on. We don't filter through that way. We're fortunate enough to where we do have some healthy streams of revenue coming in from as it relates to marketing and cash business, that we don't let that, or we use that as a way to fortify the business to where we're able to take care of people and not have to turn away long-time patients because they happen to have the wrong insurance.
Do you have any specific examples or memorable stories of people and their journeys with body composition and measuring on the InBody?
We do have people that have done it for a couple months or a few months now, and we've had great experiences. But that just makes me excited for what's to come. I'll put it that way, because I think anything we've seen so far doesn't compare to what we're going to see as we continue to implement and also get more and more people to use it.
Why did you choose InBody?
A colleague was talking about a favorable experience that he had with it, and it didn't take me long to really think it over. I was like, with where we're going, with wanting to help people measure outcomes, what's the reason that they're using compounds through us or using supplements through us? It just made total sense really easily that it's a tool that just fits into the model that we're building.
When you made the purchase, how was the onboarding process with the InBody? How was it easy to implement into your business?
Yeah, super easy. I'm sure you want more info than that, but that's pretty much the final answer on that. It was easy. It's not even that memorable because it was easy.
Let's move on and talk about the RX Grid, because I know that's something near and dear to your heart beyond the pharmacy. Tell me more about what is the RX Grid.
Yeah, it is near and dear to my heart. I started it about a year and a half ago. That was, about 2 years ago. The pharmacy really started to pick up some serious steam online, and I needed to connect people from other states, other areas, with pharmacies, just to kind of give them an answer and not just blow them off, if they needed help with something. So it started as a collective in that way. And unsurprisingly, once you get, a handful of pharmacy owners and in the same room or in the same chat thread or something like that, idea sharing just kind of goes crazy. So it's evolved into a lot more than that. So it's a lot of fun. I mean, we're working on ways to fortify our businesses with, a diverse set of services, cash business, compounding. The vast majority of the group has an InBody, so I'll throw that in there, and also work a lot on leadership and entrepreneurial skills, culture, how to create great teams, great careers for our teams as well. So really become something totally different than what I originally conceived it as, but I love it. It's a lot. It's a ton of fun. Actually, we're just a few days away from getting together in person. We do a few retreats a year, so we're all going to gather next week. So I'm looking forward to it.
What have been some results that these people in the network have been able to achieve through the program so far?
We'll have several people that have really increased their top line supplement revenue for sure. Really reconstructed the way they do marketing altogether. growing their social followings by, getting comfortable with the uncomfortable sometimes, some of that stuff. And one of the things I love most about it is I have so much respect for everybody that's in the group, and it challenges me to stay on top of my game too. And it's kind of funny. I mean this. I've probably read more books in the last 2 years than I read from the time I was in kindergarten all the way through pharmacy school, I bet. So this is lit a fire under me. Having the group and having the social following, it's such a conviction to like always be learning. I've become obsessed with learning. So sometimes it's, functional medicine, wellness, preventative medicine. Sometimes it's leadership and business, those kind of things. So I'm having a ball and passing along anything that's of value. I come across, I do my best to recreate it or repackage it and deliver it and pass it on to the group too. So man, my energy is as high as ever. I mean, I wake up, this sounds corny and cliche, but like, I love Monday mornings. I really do.
Can you share any books recently that you have found a lot of value in that you've shared?
The 5 a.m. Club was a great read. And you don't have to get up at 5 a.m. to find benefit from that book. It's full of nuggets. Last year, the book around life and business was Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. Incredible book. I've almost made that an assignment for everybody to read. And this year I've become a little obsessed with Unreasonable Hospitality. And, doing the gift for the lady when she loses 25 pounds, that pretty much came directly from that book. It's actually a book about a restaurateur in New York City. But it's a lot of storytelling, but really great nuggets. I've even incorporated it for the last 2 months and I'm in my monthly team meetings at the pharmacy, the book. So, and then from a wellness, standpoint, Outlive by Peter Attia is incredible. Young Forever by Mark Hyman's good too. I will say the Peter Attia book is like a workbook, guidebook. It's a beast of a book, but it's a really great resource. I'll say something else as I've become, like, I kind of laugh just talking about it because I never read books when I was younger. But now, especially when it's a book that I really get a lot out of, I highlight all throughout the book. I always get physical copies. I don't do audiobooks. I like podcasts, but when it comes to books, I get the physical copy. I highlight. Then at the end of the book, I pull up a document and I type out everything that I highlighted. And then I have like my own Cliff's notes. So I very rarely will read a book twice. With that said, Outlive, I don't think it would take me a couple of weeks to type out everything I highlighted in that book. So I don't know if I'll tackle that one in that way.
Peter Attia has a great way of making complex medical thoughts relatable and applicable to people's overall health. So what a great resource to be able to highlight and then share with others. From a marketing standpoint, what kind of things are essential for a pharmacy? They're like, no questions asked. These are essential things that you would want to have done in a pharmacy to make sure your marketing and your branding was in alignment for success.
I think the best way to answer that is to reverse engineer it. So if you had a pharmacy and you wanted it to do zero business and you wanted it to fail, what would you do? You would make sure that you told nobody. You would make sure that nobody knew what you were doing, what you were able to provide, and so on. So let's just think about what the opposite of that is, right? If you want your pharmacy to thrive and be the very best it could be, you need to make sure that everybody knows everything that you do and how you can help them, right? And it's not just putting an ad in a newspaper. I love our local newspapers. I support them. We run ads from time to time. People spend over 7 hours a day on their phones. So you got to meet them where they're at. If people are spending 7 hours, or not, I'll say screen time, maybe not all phone, but people use their screens for 7 hours a day plus. So you need to be on their screens if you want to be in front of their face. On top of that, you can't tell them something one time. I heard a guy say recently, anybody that has kids understands that you tell somebody something one time, it doesn't mean they get it. So I've heard different stats, it's like 6 or 8 times, but you have to repeat the message. You don't just put something in the world one time and then everybody has soaked it up and that's the end of it. So you got to be consistent with your messaging and you got to meet them where they are. And the word that I've hung on to, really since my store's been in existence is humanize. People do business with people. You can have a beautiful store, you can have a good location, you can have a good logo and all that kind of stuff, but people don't do business with your logo. People do business with people. So Bradley has a pharmacy, the patients are going to the checkout counter at the doctor's office and they're going to say, where do you want your prescription? They're going to say, send it down the road to Bradley. They're not even naming your pharmacy. I bet you some of my patients don't even know the name of my pharmacy. I've seen it on the checks that they write. Sometimes they call our pharmacy something that's not even close to the name of the pharmacy, but they've been coming to us for 2 or 3 years. Like, they don't care about the name of your pharmacy. It's the people. So it goes back to relationships too.
How do you continue to develop enough relevant content to share and humanize your brand? What's that strategy look like for you?
I mean, if you have a learner's mindset, I know very well, as much as ever, that there's so much more that I don't know than I ever will know. So if you will understand that and develop a learner's mindset, you're going to learn, and then you need to deliver that value to your people that trust you and follow you for information. So if you're always learning, there shouldn't really be a shortage of content ever. You have to meet them where they're at. And I mean this a lot. There's been more than one time to where I'll get somebody on the InBody and then we'll start talking. And then the next thing I know, we've been talking for 45 minutes. And it's like I've just been vomiting information all over them. And also in that 45 minutes, I'm not breaking down anything that's super complex. But, as pharmacists, we don't work an administrative job, or we don't work in an attorney's office. Like, we don't, a lot of these people that they can be super intelligent people, but they don't live in the world of health and wellness. So I think a lot of times we don't understand how much we do know, and we kind of discredit ourselves, because I can have a 45-minute conversation with somebody super easily and never really scratch more than the surface on a lot of really foundational topics. So I think it's meeting them where they're at, and seeing where the road goes. But a lot of those conversations lead into hormone balance, supplements. I mean, and I'll say, I think if we try to figure out what's attributed to our growth online, I always say the word balance, and the balance meaning, I love Western medicine. I think modern medicine is a miracle that we all need to be thankful for. It has its place. And then on the other hand, it shouldn't always be first line like it is. I mean, we're an over medicated country, and everybody's on the same page there. So I always make a point to tell my patients that I want to be clear. Like, I don't want to sound like I'm always bad mouthing prescription meds. Like, that's the foundation of our business. I love them. They have their place. I want to help people find the balance of when they're necessary and when they're not. And honestly, if we can help de-prescribe, I've always enjoyed that. If I can help you get off some of your chronic meds, I love that.
What other kind of assessments are you doing for your patients other than the InBody?
I think maybe even tying it into that last question too, Bradley, is the foundations. I'm really happy that so much of the growth we've had in the last couple of years is based upon foundational stuff. Again, playing the long game. I mean, if you, when you look at depression, it's not a Zoloft deficiency. If you look at somebody who has insomnia, it's not an Ambien deficiency. What are the foundational things? If we know that all these deficiencies are going on, over 90% of people aren't optimal when it comes to over 90% of people are not optimal when it comes to omega-3. Over 80% are not optimal as it relates to vitamin D. And then you can keep going down the list from there. Tons of people are deficient in magnesium. We have a test, actually got it in front of me as well. I wasn't planning on pulling this out, but omega-3 and vitamin D dry blood spot test. We're helping them measure those things as well. And then the next big thing is going to be, like I said, more in-depth hormone testing, and actually offering that to our folks online as well. Because so many people, we get the emails every day. They don't have anybody that's going to listen to them. So from an assessment standpoint, those are the type of things we're leaning into. Why not address the foundations, your magnesium deficiency, your vitamin D deficiency, instead of going over here and chasing something that's not a deficiency at all? When you can take care of that foundation first, and it just makes sense.
What a great way to continue to evolve your business by listening to your customers and hearing what they need, and really thinking about ways that you can provide those solutions for them. It's a great way to organically grow a business that way too. What kind of advice would you give to somebody who is thinking about getting an InBody?
My advice is to get it. And then to elaborate on that, it's just a door opener. And it's a door opener to things that patients want, the patients care about. I think the pandemic demonstrated it probably sped things up as the interest in preventative medicine by 10 years. I've heard that said by different experts out there. I think we were trending toward that already, but the pandemic really opened up that gate for people to really dive into, okay, well, how can I really take control of my health, and what can I do for myself? And you have to recognize that that's what people want. People want real information and real things that they can do about it. And the InBody opens up, again, so many conversations that can go all sorts of ways, depending on what their concerns are. It could be around gut health. It could be around thyroid health. It could be around hormones. But obviously, weight loss is a no-brainer there. But it opens up opportunities for you to continue to engage and kind of go on a journey with these people, and that's what people are looking for. They're looking for somebody they can trust that will listen to them and work with them. And this is just the gate opener, in my opinion. I think particularly with males. If a guy goes to the gym once or twice a week, in his mind, he's like, oh, I got a gym membership, I'm healthy. And they think because they show up to the gym and probably socialize a lot and hang out at the gym for a few hours a week, that's good enough. And, it's very obvious if you look back, how we evolved and what we're made for. We're not made for that. Office jobs are the new smoking, as they say. So it's always interesting, even guys that do technically go to the gym, it opens their eyes, and, it's a good thing for them to know. And I've had several guys get on the machine that are kind of fitness guys and have been, long time fitness guys. And it's been called humbling more than once. I'll put it this way. We live in an age of information overload, and it's not always good information. And this is a very direct way to get true information about somebody, about themselves, about a person's identity, their makeup. And, there's opinions everywhere. And, you have opinions, I have opinions. People can take them or leave them. But when you can get direct information that they can then act upon, and then take it upon themselves and challenge themselves to make that information better, the next time they seek it from the InBody, I think it can be very empowering. And, when they do a 30-day check-in and they know that they've slipped up a little bit, it's okay. Pick yourself up. Let's just see where you're at in 12 months. Let's look at it that way. But yeah, it's direct information. There's no opinions tied in or out. You don't have to wonder who the source is. Is this misinformation? Is this something I can trust? It's just straightforward information. It's like getting your labs drawn. I think, I think if people are going to be diligent enough to get their complete, blood panels drawn once a year, then they should do the InBody once a year as well. I don't know why you wouldn't.
What a great way to even make the, say, micronutrients that you see in a blood draw relevant on a macro level, and relating that back up to how that might affect somebody's metabolism and their overall body composition.
Yeah, and I think it's super important for hydration as well. That's a big thing that it changed for me. when I got on January 1, um, I noticed that my water level wasn't where it should have been. And it's not that I was severely dehydrated, but I could have done better. And, since then, it was an eye opener for me that, hey, you can do better with your electrolytes and being more intentional about how much water you're taking in. Now, I will say, like, I think some of the water guidelines out there are a little too aggressive. But again, I found a sweet spot that works for me, and it kind of shows up on the InBody that I'm in a good place with that too.
So related to the water, there's a couple different ways we could look at that. If we're thinking about how much total body water you have within your
Mm-hmm.
weight or even within your lean mass, we can get a total hydration value. And then we even break that down into intracellular water and extracellular water. And some people look at the extracellular water within that total body water as like an edema score or inflammation
Mm-hmm.
score. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and we're able to monitor that change over time. Have you seen any related to the water and edema? Have you seen any changes in your patients related to that water, related to their health change, medication change?
Just yesterday, we had a lady on the scale. I spent a lot of time with her. We had a really great, fruitful conversation, and um, you could tell she had some inflammation going on, and she knew it too. And she's already suspected some food allergies. So essentially, um, I got her into my subscription community, and she's going to start off with a detox, and we're going to do some hand holding over the next 12 months and see if we can get that number to change. She came from an hour away to see us. It was cool.
So through the conversation on the InBody and relating the inflammation that she was having, you were able to transition that conversation to a detox for her. And that was kind of the
Mm-hmm.
customized initial solution that you saw from that.
Yeah, she already suspected there were some food allergies going on, and food allergies aren't always what we think about. We need the EpiPen. It's not like that. Food allergies show up lots of different ways, and the cornerstone of a detox is an elimination diet. So you're eliminating all foods that could really have a decent chance of triggering any allergies. So really the thing that comes to mind, when she started talking about food allergies was an elimination diet. And then obviously it was a detox for me. So that led into, several solutions for her actually. I think the visceral fat score is super valuable. It said that it only takes 5.5 pounds of visceral fat to be metabolically unhealthy. The subcutaneous fat, the fat that you see kind of the outside, it's not nearly as dangerous. Some people just have genetically, kind of a stronger ability to carry around that subcutaneous fat, even though it may not look aesthetically pleasing. In our culture, the visceral fat that's around the organs is what you really got to be worried about. So that's always a great conversation driver when we get those results back and can talk about that and say, hey, your score is a 22. We want to get it down below 10. So let's see if that number improves next month. And then, within X number of months, let's see if we can get you to a good, safe place there. Yeah, I'll say as far as muscle mass goes, I'll just, I don't want to get super granular with, my own experience, but I'll put it this way. I've lost 20 pounds of fat since I started using the InBody diligently, but I've not lost 20 pounds of weight. And, you always hear about people going through cuts and bulks and all that kind of stuff. And, I'm not a fitness pro, obviously, of any sort, but I don't think, I'll say I know that it is possible to lose fat and gain muscle simultaneously. And I think muscle holds about 75% water, fat holds about 25. So as you do build more muscle and you cut the fat, you're going to carry more water weight as well. So it's really interesting. I even have got my calculator out, and I was like, these numbers are interesting. How much the fat's going down, but the weight's not changing, and it all measures out when the water changes with it too. So it's really neat to really get into the numbers that way, I think.
There's water that's inside the cells, or intracellular water, and there's water that's outside the cells. And
Mm-hmm.
we would call that in your interstitial fluid, in your blood, of your skin, your lymphatic system. And like you mentioned, we're made up of a lot of water, approximately
Mm-hmm.
73.3% of our lean mass is water.
Mm-hmm.
And people that have a lot of muscle typically have a lot of water inside their cells. And
Mm-hmm.
that extracellular water score, the edema score, in my experience, by talking to a lot of people, relating that to the amount of muscle somebody has or even the amount of visceral fat they have, it can be a good indication of somebody's metabolic efficiency by looking at how much extracellular water do we have in relation to total body water, also in relation to do you have enough muscle and how much visceral fat do you have.
Kind of going back to where we started this conversation, we did mention GLP-1s and any sort of weight loss method where you're losing weight really fast and losing muscle. Your muscle is like a retirement fund. It's a savings. It's retirement savings, to put it that way. And I'm sure plenty of your listeners understand this, but maybe some that don't. I mean, when you're sitting down at the computer doing a podcast, sitting down on your couch watching TV, your lean mass, your lean muscle is how you burn calories while you're just sitting around. So to throw all that muscle in the trash is such a waste because you're going to burn much less when you're sitting doing a podcast or sitting and watching TV. It's really something like you have to, dare I say, cherish. Something you gotta hold on to because that's what drives your metabolism. So if you're just going to throw it away, then you're doing yourself a major disservice.
Yeah, what I hear you saying, I think you were relating this to the GLP-1s and the weight loss drugs, because one of the things that they are seeing with those is that there's a lot of intracellular water loss and muscle mass loss on those. Is that where you were kind of going with that?
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of people mad at me online for speaking up about that kind of stuff. I mean, I think, and I get it, if somebody's using one of those and either they're profiting from it or if they're, if they've lost 50 pounds and they feel good about themselves, they don't want to hear anything negative about it. It's just a warning, some of the stats and, every situation is unique and not everybody's situation is as drastic as 40 to 50% muscle. And I've heard higher numbers than that. I don't know. I haven't gotten our GLP-1, commercial GLP-1 patients on the InBody. I would like to start doing that just so we could help them see that as well. But yeah, I mean, it goes back to any rapid weight loss. It's not to villainize those. They just work so well. They work so well that people are losing weight so fast that that's going to happen. No matter how you lose weight rapidly, you're not going to lose 100% fat only. It's a way to deliver more to people, that keep up with us online. And, we actually have a decent amount of folks from here in our hometown that are part of the online community as well. I have health coaches inside the community, I have a PharmD in there. Have a community manager who's a published author and RN with 39 years experience. So I've got some really great people helping me to run the community. And we got, the way I kind of laid it out, I wanted to make it to where it was just kind of dumb not to come in, if I could say that. I just made it super cheap. And it's ultimately it's $197 for a year, and you get $280 worth of product. So it includes our detox, 7-day detox, the omega-3 index and vitamin D test, which I showed earlier. It includes a year's supply of vitamin D, a micellized form that's really effective at getting your levels up. Got my level from 24 to 74 in 6 weeks. And also the wellness journal that I showed earlier. So we give all that stuff as like physical product. But then, my community manager went in and itemized like everything that the people were getting for 12 months. And she itemized it out to $2,500. And, it's a passion project, I guess you could say. But like ultimately it got to a point to where I couldn't keep up with the messages, just to be honest. I mean, I couldn't answer everybody. I needed a way to like have really great people help me help people on a deeper level. And that's what we're able to do in there. And I'll say on everybody's profile, they have little fields where they can put in like what their starting numbers are when they come into the community. So what their omega level was when they started and D level, but also body composition. So we're excited about that too. So we've got lots of people in the community using the home unit, which I have the H20 here on the floor here behind me. We have lots of people that are doing those. I've given a couple of those away already in the community. I do monthly giveaways. So I'm really trying to challenge them to keep up with body composition and track that over the course of a year as well. And we show them how to do, basic measurements if they want to do it that way. But nonetheless, like find some way to make that part of the things you're measuring. So yeah, I'll just go ahead and say on our website, there's a big box at the top, or not a big box, but there's a place at the top of the website that says NC Plus, and it gives all the information there. But it's been a really cool experience. There's certainly wellness communities out there, but we did kind of have to start from scratch. There's not a playbook for a small independent pharmacy to do something like that. Appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk about this stuff because it's stuff that I'm passionate about. To work with people, give them information that they can take action upon, and see them like even just start to make changes that make sense. You kind of see the light bulb going off. Like, okay, I can do these things and I can make these improvements. It's fulfilling. And I think, most all of us have to work for a living. We have to have a job. We have to have income and all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to actually being fulfilled, I think we have to have a purpose. And when you can find your purpose and actually, and find yourself making a living, actually helping people like see the light in some ways, I guess you could say. It's really cool. So I appreciate the experience to come on and speak with you today. Really love what you guys stand for, how you're doing things. You're doing it the right way, and you're really pushing education. And I think that's where it all starts. So kudos to you guys.